It's time for Political Buzz, the television forum to discuss politics and issues of interest for all of Western New York. Now, from the WBBZ television studio at the Eastern Hills Mall, this is Political Buzz.
Hey everybody, John DeShula with you on Political Buzz, your hometown television station here on WBBZ-TV. For the next half hour, we're going to take a walk on the lighter side. And, you know, there's a great song, Look at That Face. Just look at it. Look at that fabulous face of yours. Take a look at the face of my guest here. Wow. This is Hiram Kasten. Now, it's somebody you may have seen, I know you've seen on television. Everybody Loves Raymond, Seinfeld, Curb Your Enthusiasm. Just keep ticking them off for me, Hiram. But
Are you going to sing anymore?
No, I'm not going to sing anymore.
Right.
But you look at that face, and people are going to say, I know you, and now we can meet Hiram Kasten, born in the Bronx, made his way to Los Angeles after hosting shows at Dangerfields, was selected by Jerry Seinfeld himself after he auditioned for Jerry, and we all know how successful Jerry Seinfeld is. And Hiram has played Joey Bishop in Rat Pack shows at the Sahara in Las Vegas, tours the world. But what makes Hiram very interesting, not only is he a guest with us here for Political Buzz the next half hour, talk about everything from Hollywood to Western New York politics and national politics, but Hiram lives in Western New York, Batavia to be exact, through some interesting connection with his wife that we're going to find out more about. So Hiram, after that crazy introduction, welcome to WBBZ.
I didn't think it was crazy at all. It was very nice. Thank you, John.
So what brings you from the Bronx to Hollywood to Buffalo?
First, the big question, Batavia
to be exact,
would be, I could sum it up with when I was pulled over on my way to Buffalo Airport a few years ago before we actually moved here. We'd already bought the house, and we were visiting. And I broke a double line because I was late for a plane, you know. And a cop just pulled me over. What are you doing? And I took out the license, and it was then a California license. And it's a snowy day. And he says, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? He didn't know me, but what is a Californian doing here? And I just said, and this is the answer to your question, too. I said, I married a Batavia girl. And he said, go ahead. Go ahead. And so that's the answer to everything. I married a Batavia girl, and she got tired, apparently, of temperate, sunny conditions, and every day 75. And she's from here, and she missed it. And we've been visiting for 30 years of our marriage. And her family is my family and all that. And it was time to come and be a part of Western New York, and we love it. And I just think it's great.
Where did you meet? Where did you and your wife meet?
Nightclub in New York. Most comics married waitresses. A little tip for you gals out there, you know. But the hours in the old days were, in the beginning, was 3 a.m., 4 a.m. So how are you going to meet anybody?
Yeah.
She worked there, but it was serendipitous. It was that one night she happens to be at that club, and I happen to be there. But I'm a believer, so I see no accident.
So how long have you technically been a resident of Batavia in Western New York?
A year and a half.
Yeah.
Year and a half, paper signed. We live in she purchased the Rowell Mansion in Batavia. She considers herself a caretaker, that it's her position to fix it up and pass it on. She loves it. And her dad's still around, a World War II fella. He's still there. God bless him. Unfortunately, we lost her mom a couple of years ago. You can never make the plans too intricate. The plan was to get back for her to have tea on the porch with her mother. But we just, we loved it here. Everybody says L.A. is phony. I will say it is to a certain extent. They, you know, in front of your local Starbucks, there's a shifty character. I don't know. Maybe he's
not here. There's no shifty character.
No. He's down on his heels a little bit, down on his luck, and maybe not here.
Yeah, but I know what you're talking about. They're out there.
They're out there with a cup, you know. And in L.A., in front of my Starbucks, it was so Hollywood. This homeless guy, he had one tooth in his mouth, and he had it whitened. Can you imagine?
Hiram Kasten, everybody. I can't imagine that.
Unbelievable.
Now, so I'll pick up just one more question on this because there's so many other things to talk about.
I'm here. Weather be darned.
New York, you know, born in the Bronx, and certainly the Dangerfields piece and hosting all the shows in New York to Hollywood, and now you're here for a little bit of time. Do you look, Hiram, and say, boy, I kind of miss the energy of New York City and Los Angeles?
Well, as you
I know you get
I've been
back.
going down.
You get back
I
and
go
forth.
back and forth. Yes, I would need to still take in some of that energy, but not on a vacation. It's work related.
Yeah, because you have a place in New York that you go to.
Yes, it's work related. The porch on Batavia would be a little more on the retirement side. It's nice, but my wife doesn't want me hanging around the house.
Why? You're full of stories. You know
Well,
everybody.
she laughs. She does. You know how many people say to women who are married to comedians, "Oh, it must be a riot living with a comedian." She goes, "Yeah, it's a real riot." You know.
Well, we share some familiar names in common.
Yeah.
Comedians that we know. Taylor Negron.
Yes,
an actor,
yes.
And Craig Shoemaker, a friend of mine. He was a college buddy. And literally, Craig got in his car right after college and drove to Los Angeles and never looked back. What got you from the Bronx and New York City to Los Angeles?
The girl from Batavia.
No kidding.
Marrying the right girl from Batavia. I was a successful comedian, semi-successful. I mean, if you're not working in the day and you don't have to wake up early and you tell jokes at night and you have money in your pocket, I call that a success. You know, it wasn't it's successful. Had my own show at Dangerfields, like you said. And we dated a while. It was always so much fun. It was the early 80s, and that was just a great time for comedy. That was the comedy boom. It's referred to as the boom, and many books now are written of that era. Seinfeld would be the guy that came the biggest that came out of that. But Seinfeld knew to go to L.A. in 1980. I was just getting the seat at the bar warmed up in 1980. Most people, Craig was smart. He went right out. But we were in New York living a life of Riley, and Diana said, as soon as we got married in 1986, she said, next year we'll be in L.A. I thought she was kidding. I mean, I liked my comfort, and everybody knew me. But she said, you want to be on television, don't you? Do you want to be on television, or do you want to work New Jersey bars? Which do you want? So I owe it all to her.
That's terrific. That's terrific. And in a business where marriages don't last more than 3 months, you have a great decades-long marriage.
Yes, and by the way, so do a lot of our friends from L.A. I mean, I think it's a misnomer. It's a bit of a canard that the divorces, those are the superstars and the crazy people, but people work actually very hard out there, and if they have a loving family, they value it just like anybody else.
Right, but I can see where it's easy to stray. You're, like you talked about, you're up late, you're in these clubs, you're traveling the country.
Well, I didn't get married till my 30s.
That's true. All right, so there you go. So
That
you
was the
lived
key.
that life.
Yes,
Ira.
I did.
Good.
Yes, I did. I was watching North by Northwest the other night. I am not a red herring. I didn't even know what a red herring was, but when Cary Grant says it.
If Cary Grant says anything, it's true.
Did you ever see a nicer suit than the suit in North by Northwest that Cary Grant wears?
And running with the plane. You know?
The great, well, they write it in that he has to dust it off after the crop duster
You're
got
flying
him.
over him. Yeah.
And then he's back with the same suit. Ugh.
We're going to talk a little bit about, when we come back from the break, your relationship with Jerry Seinfeld.
Yes.
I want to talk to you about that and some of the other television shows that you've done. Hiram Kasten with us on Political Buzz here on WBBZ-TV. We'll be right back right after this.
Look at that face, just look at it. Look at that fabulous face of yours. I knew first look I took at it. This was the face that the world adores.
Your boyfriend is a normal guy. He just happens to have the same name as one of the worst serial killers in the history of New York.
I gotta go. Hey. We just saw your boyfriend at a bus stop.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, what's his name?
Joel.
Joel what?
Rifkin.
Rifkin? Joel Rifkin?
Yeah, it's just a coincidence, obviously.
Guess you better keep on his good side, huh?
Very funny. That's very
Yeah,
funny.
I wouldn't sleep with my back to him if I were you.
All right. That's enough of that. That's enough.
Hey, Elaine, listen. If you smell anything decaying in the trunk of his car...
Okay, look, this is my boyfriend we're talking about, okay? And he's a gentleman. He's good looking, he's a good shaver, and he hasn't thrown up in 8 years, so just shut up about it. Shut up!
Hiram Kasten with us on WBBZ-TV on Political Buzz. And Hiram, we talked before the break about Jerry Seinfeld. Talk to us about what he's really like and your connection to Jerry, because it continues. You hang out with him.
I'm going to tell you that I'd love to say something bad because he's so successful, but I'm kind of privileged to see a mind, like a very unique mind, work from day one. When we're all young and everybody's carrying on, he was focused. That focus. And, you know, you go to a party with your relatives or a wedding, and some uncle will say, I bet you somebody helped him. Nobody helped. He worked harder than everybody else. He saw things in a clearer, almost Zen kind of way. In fact, he may have studied. He's a little vague about his studies, but he's a reader, and he looked into different meditations, different ways of life. I will tell you a seminal story is he and I were in New Jersey working a gig for $75 on a Tuesday night. He was closing, I was opening for him. I came out, the people in New Jersey, in the bar, rah, rah. You know, I'm ready to be Milton Berle. I'll drop my pants if I have to. Anything
to get
their attention, to get a laugh. Jerry walked on with the socks in the dryer, the calm, and the audience quieted down, and he brought them to him. And he's been doing that ever since, by being clear. And so here's the moment. He walks off stage. This is an in reference, but I'll explain it. He walks off stage and he says to me, now this is 1980 or 1979. He says, that will be my second Johnny, his second appearance in the future. When he does the Tonight Show, not if he does, when he does, he has to have 5 ready. So if Johnny calls you back, he's ready. And that will be from my second one. He's doing this while I'm worried about people screaming and anxious to get back to the bar. So he had a vision. It's a remarkable mind, like a steel trap he has.
And played clean. He was always...
He did play clean. Well, he was focused, and the focus was, I need to get on the Tonight Show. I need to get on Johnny Carson's show. Every time I'm not clean, every joke is just a slight pull away from my focus. I told you he was very Eastern in however he... So why do anything that's not exactly on the beam?
And being on the Tonight Show, as we talked about this when we had coffee, being on the Tonight Show was, you know, back in the day, that was it. And particularly if Johnny called you over to
which is
sit
very
on,
rare.
To sit on the sofa, which I think he did with
He didn't
Carey
call Jerry the first time, but he gave him an extra salute. He gave him more than this. Johnny went, take another bow. That already, anytime anything extra was going on. Yeah. Jerry was phenomenal, and it's even I didn't see the material as it wasn't like a Shecky Green, or it wasn't a punch to the solar plexus that makes you laugh like that. He was working on you up here, and when the rhythm catches on, it works great.
And you've done the Seinfeld show. You did Everybody Loves Raymond and worked with those guys.
Well, now that's Well,
so we can see you if we watch Seinfeld. We'll see you come up.
See me if you Google me.
Season 5. That was your biggest year, apparently.
On Seinfeld.
Seinfeld, yeah.
Well, that brings us Larry David, who's the mind behind the creation of the show. But that show got on Seinfeld because Jerry had the power of no. He already was a successful comedian from Johnny Carson. So he had he knew he could do anything. The network said, maybe you'll play a young lawyer, maybe you'll play a teacher, maybe you'll play No. I must play myself. I can't act, he would say. And they go, well, we don't want it. He'd go, okay, goodbye. He'd keep walking like a used car sale. They kept pulling him back in. And then he said, well, I have to do it the way I want, and I want to work with this fella. And they went, you can't have Larry David. He never ran a show on NBC. You know television. How are we going to invest millions of dollars in an untried guy? Jerry said, goodbye. And he walks out again. And they're, all right, we'll do 4. Remember that first year in the summer? They only did 4 episodes.
Interesting story. And Larry David from Curb Your Enthusiasm and other almost like reality-based sitcom.
I did the Curb show, and it was great because I do like to ad-lib, and I am an actor. So those two things together, that show was perfect. He says to me in that scene, The Baptism is the name of the episode, for those fans of it. And he'll say, make sure you get this line in. He'll give me one line that moves the scene. You can say anything you want before or after it. So he's quite a mind, too. But he was, if Jerry had not chosen him, I used to bring him on a Catch a Rising Star in New York, and sometimes people would walk out because he's a mad genius who saw comedy. He wasn't commercial. He wouldn't have been commercial without Jerry.
Let's talk a little bit about what you've seen in Los Angeles, what you've seen in New York, bringing back to the title of this show with political buzz and politics.
Yes.
You know, a lot of shows that are on the air, a lot of sitcoms, Modern Family, to pick one of them, push a certain social agenda, and there are other shows that don't, that are, you know, funny for the sake of being funny. I don't want to ask what your politics are, but I have to assume that in Los Angeles, people probably take a very liberal stance on life.
I'd say in more cases than not, yes. In more cases than not. It's a lot more creative people. They look at things, but they're all they came from somewhere. They came out there. It's a laid-back attitude like you always hear. The weather's always nice, and like we were saying before, you get on a successful show, and you keep your head down, and you do your work, and everybody's happy. And I think there's just a little less, I don't want to say anger, they're just more content. I think they're doing what they want to do more, and they tend to have a more live and let live attitude. Perhaps that comes across.
As some people gain fame, we've seen it with, you know, Barbra Streisand, for example, and others, they feel almost compelled to then jump into the fray of making their opinions known and their politics. Have you seen that? And why? You're an entertainer. Why?
I certainly have seen it. Diana and I have been invited to a couple of homes that are raising money for something. Not too often, because we can't write that big check that the others are writing. I think it's within the right of any American to, you know, express themselves. I agree. Why at an Academy Awards, when you're receiving an award, would you stop the show to do your personal agenda on political matters? That makes no sense to me. If Larry David wants to host a thing at his home, and it's a cause that's a liberal cause, that's in his home. That's a fundraiser. You have fundraisers here, you know. So that's not a problem. You're asking why do they do? Most don't. The Barbra Streisand, I think they feel it's a celebrity thing. You know celebrities. They feel suddenly they're at a level where everything they say and do, nobody tells them no. How about that for a short
They're surrounded
answer?
by people who constantly
Nobody tells
give them what
take
they
it down, Barbara. Take it down a couple of notches. I happen to think she believes in a better world the way someone on the other side of the political spectrum believes in a better world. I think they just have a higher profile. But there's certainly stars that take the other political point of view, who are public with it. But there is more.
Well,
there is more.
Let me ask that, because, you know, we talked about some friends that we have in common who admittedly are very liberal about their viewpoints, and they're in Los Angeles. Does anybody with a conservative viewpoint have a chance in Los Angeles?
Yes, they do.
Or in Hollywood? Or in New York?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And I just took somebody on that recently. It's I'm afraid it would be a misnomer to say that they didn't have a chance, and a good chance, because as we were saying before the show, if you create a show, it's going to make the executive producer and the network are not coming away with a couple of million. You know the big money involved.
Right. We're hoping for that here someday, by the way.
Hundreds of millions. If you create a show like Everybody Loves Raymond, and it goes past 5 or 6 years, they tear up the contract, and it goes to syndication, it goes on forever, and it's a lot of money. Many, many figures. Okay. So why did I bring that up? There was a reason.
Conservatism.
Right. If you are a conservative and you go to California, and you always have to know the right people. How do you get a job? If you're supposed to knock on a door, of course you know somebody. And you wrote a show that they smell money on, you will have the same opportunity to make that kind of money. I do not know the politics of Chuck Lorre, who does 3.5 Men. I've never met him or worked the show. I do not know. I don't care. He doesn't know mine. He hasn't cast me. He doesn't know me. But if you do a winning formula that's going to make the people in charge that big money, hundreds of millions, I don't think your political views are of any consequence if you can turn out the product. If John Wayne came back now and said, I want to do a series.
He would be back in a series.
I think he'd be back in a series because it's about the eyeballs. How many people will turn on
That's right.
John Wayne the first week, the second week, and the magical third week?
That's right. The length of time to gauge a TV show used to be 13 weeks. Now it's literally the three-quarter hours.
Somebody explained to me, the first week, everybody turns it on. Second week, there's a precipitous drop. The third week is what's left from that drop. Can we continue?
Wow.
And that's as much time as you have. And but my point with John Wayne leads us to perhaps we need bigger stars. We do not have stars of that magnitude. I guarantee you, I don't know Garth Brooks' politics. He's a country singer. Perhaps he's conservative. I don't know. If Garth Brooks wanted to make a deal and the series was well written and they wanted him to finish the answer, his politics would not make a difference.
Yeah. More with Hiram Kasten here on Political Buzz, and we return to talk about television and our shows here on WBBZ-TV and what they mean for a brand new generation when we come back.
Now, since I was here last time, I tied the knot. I got a vasectomy. No, I am married 17 years, and it feels just like 17 minutes. Underwater. It's pretty rough. I don't know how you do it. It's pretty rough.
Hiram Kasten, the kind of guy you can hang out with for days and days and never get enough stories. We have about 5 minutes left in this segment, and then we're going to record another segment.
Do you know how big this man was on Channel 7?
Well, please. Yeah.
Really?
Thanks. I appreciate that.
It's a thrill to be here.
Thank you very much, Hiram. I do appreciate that. 30 years in the market. And, you were talking about traveling. I had an opportunity to go to New York. Was there for a little bit with the Morton Downey Jr. show and Richard Bay. And opted to come back. Sometimes the big cities aren't always what they are thought to be.
Well, it was when Diana said we're going to L.A., I needed to go to be. I will go to my grave thrilled to have worked at Paramount Pictures, to have worked at Warner Brothers, to have been Raymond's show. There's a plaque outside the studio that says Casablanca was filmed there.
Yeah.
I wonder, was I standing where Humphrey Bogart? It's an out-of-body thing.
Well, you have great respect for the past.
Well, I do.
And the MeTV network that we are here on WBBZ airs those shows and movies.
It means a lot to me.
And I don't feel that star system today. I mean, there's certainly big shows out there, but it feels like some of the stars are very disposable. Social media and the internet has watered some of that down.
Of course.
The comedians are crass sometimes. So the respect for the past is important to have.
I have respect for the past. As far as comedians being crass, that's an old story.
Well,
that's a long time going, from Buddy Hackett and people before. But I grew up, I don't want to throw the age around too much, but let's say I was a baby and I saw Ed Sullivan show. Those comics flashed their cufflinks and were looking at certainly Alan King and guys like that. And I thought, as a little boy in the Bronx, to me, as a mama's boy, to be precise, I said, that is my ticket to the world of, they're manly. They are swashbucklers. Those fellas are bullfighters is a better analogy. You do not turn your back. They'll gore you. Remember Jack Carter? Remember these comics?
Yeah,
they're killers.
Yeah.
Killers. Jackie Leonard, killers. So I loved them and said, I want to be in show business. When I met Jerry, he was the MC at the comic strip, and I went on, auditioned for him, and he said, okay, you're in. And he and everybody else, and my Aunt Minnie, did comedy this way, the observational. Did you ever notice the socks in the dryer? Did you ever notice? And I couldn't care less what they were doing. I was ready and committed to be that comic, a new version, a modern version of a traditional, of what I'd seen. I like to think I blend both, hence the
look, and as we wrap up, we talked a little bit about whether the glasses should be worn, because there are some shows where you had glasses on.
Yes, where's my camera?
Right over there. So it makes you look authoritative. Maybe when we have you come back, Hiram, you can wear the glasses. You could be, that expert commentator.
Well, I want people to recognize me a little bit, but you know what else you didn't mention is the voice. It's between the voice and the face. I've been in elevators in Manhattan, and someone turns around. They're not quite sure who I am, but they're That's an unusual voice.
Do you get that a lot? Do you get, who are you? I know you?
I think I know you.
Yeah.
Yes, but more likely it's if you reach a certain age and you're not 300 pounds and you're walking with a suntan somewhere, people start to think, he might be somebody. You must get this, you know.
I
he's a
wish.
Somebody. Look
you
how
know.
slim. Look how nice he looks.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Not too many wings. You know, you limit the wings.
No, you got to be careful. We're all on TV. Now, look, you're going to be going back to New York.
Going back to New York next week. And again, that's agents and meetings. And the only thing I've never done in show business, I could die a happy man, is to appear on a Broadway stage. I am very pleased to say movies and TV and nightclubs in Vegas and cruise ships and opening for Jerry. It's pretty nice.
Big time.
A nice family, and to be able to have gotten love in my life out of it, it's wonderful. And by the way, the funniest people in the world to hang with, to know. It's pretty nice.
Absolutely.
Now, to get on that Broadway stage, and
well, we'll try to make that work.
we'll work that
Hiram
out.
Kasten, we thank you for
like
joining
these?
us for the half hour here on WBBZ. Look sharp, Hiram.
Yeah.
He's going to be back, and well, because he's from Batavia, so why shouldn't you be back? And we
You know,
welcome you.
there's not a lot going on in Batavia. I'd like to come back.
Good. We welcome you back. All right. More Political Buzz every Thursday at 9 a.m., Sunday morning at 11 here on WBBZ-TV, your hometown television station.